Am I the a-hole for telling my mom if I wanted to watch kids, I'd have one after declining babysitting? My 25 female younger sister 21 female is pretty pregnant. For the last few weeks, she has been demanding that my significant other 27 male and I babysit her newborn every weekend, Friday morning to Sunday evening, so she and her significant other 21 male can have some cool off time from being parents to not overstress. Each time, I have laughed at her and shut it down with a quick, "Nope, I won't be." And she gets mad I'm not helping her out. Yesterday, she got our mother involved. Mom called me to ask why I was being a self-centered witch and so selfish because she didn't raise me this way. I told her I'm a grown woman with my own house and life, and that if I wanted to watch kids as a second job, I'd freaking have some. She sputtered out something about me being a horrible person and hung up on me. My significant other and my aunt 100% are with me. However, my mom, dad, and the other 900 family members and friends they got involved are calling me out on Facebook and blowing up my phone. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Edit, my relationship with the family has come up a few times now, so I'd like to point out, I don't generally have much to do with them. I talk to my mom maybe twice a month. My sister was a little more than that. I talk to my youngest sister, 16 female, my one aunt, and my grandparents regularly. But that's everyone. While I haven't cut anyone out, I simply do not engage or interact with anyone outside of the 3 hours on Christmas we are all together. Now for the top comments. Not a-hole, but your sister and her husband are. They are nuts to plan to part with a newborn for 60 hours straight every week. The fact that everyone else in your family sees this as okay is wild. You and your aunt are literally the only sane people in your family. I'd correct the sister. This is called joint custody, not babysitting. Not a-hole. Divorced dads get less custody than this, and they definitely wouldn't get this much time with a newborn. Not a-hole. And also, lol, what? So let me get this straight. Your sister and her significant other are having a baby, but they want every weekend off so they can go have fun while you watch their child. Every weekend? Yeah, sounds like they should have thought twice before getting her pregnant. This is not how that works. I had my son at 21, and guess what I did at most weekends? It's called being a parent. Ridiculous entitled nonsense is what I'd call your sister's behavior, and I absolutely fail to understand why your family is agreeing with her. If your parents think she should have every weekend off, they can watch the child. Oh yeah, my cousin has 3 kids, and guess what she doesn't have for the past 12 years? Right, a free weekend. Everyone is lucky if they have grandparents to watch the kids for an afternoon, but if you sign up for the little ones, then you know that some freedoms are gone for a while. Not a-hole. What sane person expects someone else to take care of their child every weekend? Given the fact that mom immediately had her back on the idea, I'm going with someone who has probably gotten away with making various and reasonable demands a lot in the past 21 years. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for firing my sister after she threw out my son's pine cones? This happened over a week ago. I, 30 male, need to know if I was an a-hole or not. My son, 7, passed away from a heart condition he had. It'll be 2 years in July, and my world still hasn't been the same without him. Ever since he was 5, my son had an obsession with collecting pine cones. He loved them for some reason. Every trip to the park or hiking trail, he'd come home with a bag of pine cones picked out. I helped him preserve them, so they would last way longer. It became a fun activity for us to do at home. His last Christmas, he gifted me a pine cone he painted himself, and it was the best gift ever. I kept all his pine cones stored away since he passed. Sometimes on bad days, I like to take them out and admire them. A couple months ago, my sister lost her job. She's a housekeeper, and my parents urged me to help her out by hiring her to clean my house. That wasn't an issue for me. The problem with my sister is everything needs to be cleaned her way, or she throws out things she deems aren't worth keeping. For instance, my late wife's old sketchbooks that she found in my garage, or my old guitar that I don't play as often as I used to, but still keep in good condition, my old wood carvings, etc. I've had to tell her that unless it's in the trash can, don't throw it out without checking in with me. I came home the other day and saw my storage closet nearly empty. One of the things missing were my son's pine cones. She wanted to surprise me, but I was so overwhelmed I told her to leave or I was going to scream at her. She texted me later to ask what she did wrong. She just saw that it needed to be tidied up and thought I wouldn't be too mad. I called to tell her she's fired for throwing out my son's pine cones because she knows how much she loved collecting them. Her defense was they weren't really necessary to keep around when I have other things of my son's, like his toys and drawings. But this was specifically something that he loved so very much. Now it feels like a piece of him has been taken from me and I don't want her in my house again. My sister begged to keep this job because she was relying on this and to give her another chance. But I couldn't bring myself to that. Everyone is mad at me for leaving her without a job. My mom is angry at my sister for what she did and told her off for being insensitive. However, she feels that losing income shouldn't be a punishment for hurt feelings. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. She was doing her job poorly. Imagine if she did this with other clients. She would lose her job then too. She can't just decide what's get thrown away or not. Also, she should have immediately apologized for what she threw away, instead of digging her heels in and trying to justify it. Sounds like she has thrown away a bunch of important things to you, but I'm surprised you let her stay on as your housekeeper this long. Oh, the things I mentioned she didn't actually throw out, like my late wife's stuff, but she insisted they should be because why would I want that when I don't use it? It was the fact she kept pushing it that made me order her not to throw anything out without my permission. I probably would have had the same reaction if she had thrown them out like she did with my son's pine cones. Yep, bearing an imminent danger like a pileup of human waste or extreme hoarder conditions, she doesn't get to decide for herself what to throw away, much less do so. She clearly knew how important the pine cones were to Opie and didn't care about his wishes. She lost her job because of her actions, period. Wow, I can't imagine why she lost her first job as a housekeeper. You're not the a-hole. No housekeeper should be making decisions about personal belongings. It's even worse if she knew they had sentimental value to you. Not the a-hole. A housekeeper is not allowed to destroy possessions of the homeowner, unless they specifically ask her to. She was probably fired from prior jobs for the same shenanigans, and her lack of income is her problem, not yours. Not the a-hole. And if this is how she acts, I'm surprised she ever had a housekeeping job to lose in the first place. It's not even like she thought you would want them to be thrown out. She knew what they meant to you and your son. She had no right. I'd never let her back in my house, let alone on my payroll. Also, she feels that losing income shouldn't be punished by hurt feelings? The absolute audacity. Hurt feelings? How about losing income over destruction of property? You know, the crime she committed? Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for letting my brother and his wife watch our 4-month-old daughter without asking my wife? My wife and I have a 4-month-old baby girl. So far, only one person is allowed to watch the baby, wife's best friend. Her best friend is a good caregiver, and she's a mom herself, but she's not like super nanny or anything. Just a normal person. My brother and his wife have been begging to watch the baby for us, but my wife always says no. My brother's wife is a certified newborn care specialist and lactation consultant. Not saying she's any better or worse than wife's best friend, but I think it's safe to say she'd do a great job of taking care of our baby girl. Yesterday, my wife was at work and I needed to take my car up to the shop for an oil change and inspection. It had to be done today as my guy won't be to shop again until after the 4th, so my inspection would expire by then. I didn't think it'd be fun for my little one to sit in a stinky gas station auto shop for a few hours, so I dropped her off with my brother and his wife. Well, now I'm in the doghouse. 1, for not asking her first, and 2, for letting someone else watch the baby who isn't wife's best friend. I didn't ask because I didn't think it was necessary. I knew 100% that our baby would be well cared for. I was within 10-minute drive, and both my brother and his wife have cars with a car seat. They had all the supplies they needed. My wife's job is also within 10 minutes of their house. My wife is upset because she doesn't want a bunch of people watching our baby, which I get, but it was just my brother and his wife. I don't plan on sending her to Grandma next weekend, Aunt Edna the next, and Cousin Jimmy the week after that. Just one day with her aunt and uncle, 4 hours total. She thinks we need a consistent person to watch her, her best friend. Now for the comments. Not Dayhall. I'm guessing this is your first child, and your wife sounds like she's a little over-anxious about the baby, which is totally normal, but just because her feelings are normal, that doesn't mean she's in the right. Unfortunately though, as you both navigate parenthood, you are going to have to find a balance because if you continue down a path of whatever she says goes, you will likely end up resenting her, and it can do damage to you, your marriage, and how you are as a parent. Baby steps. Apologize for not telling her ahead of time, but tell her that it's not okay for her to make these decisions unilaterally. Fight about it, then find a compromise. Hijacking top comment to suggest that maybe postpartum anxiety is playing a part in his wife's decision. It's real and can really affect new moms in a harsh way. Thank you. I was about to say the same. My postpartum anxiety and depression spiraled so far out of control and mixed with my regular poor mental health. I diagnosed depression and anxiety even before that. And basically it became so much worse than it should have been. I'm now barely able to leave the house without feeling physically sick to my stomach from panic, and my kid is 6.5 now. Opie, please make sure your wife is okay. That drop in hormones from pregnancy and birth, mixed with everything else, is absolute hell on a number of new mothers. I'm not saying that what happened to me could happen to your wife, but please make sure it's not PPA or PPD, because it's so hard. Not Dayhal. You left your child with trusted family. She's 4 months old, not 4 weeks. I suspect she's probably in her routine and was just fine spending time with uncle and aunt. My brother's wife is certified newborn care specialist and lactation consultant. That sounds more qualified than your wife's friend as someone to watch the child for a brief period. You need to talk to your wife and figure out why she's so weird about this. The only reason I think he's the a-hole is because he did it knowing full well how his wife felt about it. Everyone sucks here. You went behind your wife's back, which is wrong. But your wife needs to understand that you may need additional people who can babysit if necessary. Just one person, her BFF, isn't enough. I don't think it was so much behind her back, as he made an executive decision because she was at work. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for including my ex's daughter in my life? Sleepovers, vacation, etc. Sorry if any of this gets confusing. I have a 5-year-old daughter, Annie, with my ex. My ex also has an 8-year-old daughter, Elsie. Ex and I broke up when Annie was a little under 2 years old. It was really hard getting her for overnights because she has never been away from her home/mom overnight. We realized that she did much better if her older sister was there, so she started coming too. Annie has no issue staying the night by herself now, but since I had to kind of keep playing stepdad after Ex and I broke up, Elsie and I do have a bond of some sort. She will come stay the night most of the time, unless she has other plans, or her mom requests she stays home for some reason. My girlfriend and I are trying to plan a little last-minute vacation for August. We are going somewhere very family-friendly, so I said we should ask if Elsie wants to join. Elsie has been on vacations with just Annie and I before. Girlfriend let out a big sigh when I said this. I was confused, because up until this point, she's never expressed any issues with Elsie being around. We got to talking, and she basically asked, when will this end? When Elsie is a teenager? When she graduates high school? When she gets married? Never? I didn't know what to say because Elsie and Annie will always be sisters. So yeah, it will probably never end. Elsie is a good kid and Annie adores her, so I have had zero hesitations about ever inviting her along to hang out with us. Plus, I do feel bad for Elsie. X is a good mom doll, but she can't really afford much outside of basic necessities and the occasional treat. There are lots of things Elsie gets to do with us that her mom could simply not afford. And I feel like I sort of owe it to Elsie. The only reason she started coming over was to help comfort her sister, and she still is a big help with Annie. My girlfriend is not happy with this situation suddenly. She's apparently been holding out hope that things were just like this because of the pandemic, but it's very concerning and inappropriate to know that it's not the case. Am I the a-hole for still inviting Elsie to hang out with us even if she's not my kid and I have no legal obligation to her? Not the a-hole. You don't have an obligation to include Elsie, but it shows what a kind heart you have to do so. It would be very sad if you chose to cut her out completely just because your new girlfriend is jealous. Your girlfriend is showing you how immature she is on this issue. If you give in on this with her, next she's going to be going after your daughter too. You need to set her straight that this is how your life is with your daughter and her half-sibling. If girlfriend doesn't like it, she's welcome to leave. Yep, this feels like the beginning of a slippery slope. Elsie was also Opie's stepdaughter when he was with her mom/his ex, It's not like she's a younger half-sibling that Opie has no relationship with. I suspect girlfriend didn't realize how involved of a dad Opie is until recently, and is now reconsidering if she signed up for all that. Yeah, I could understand if she decides it isn't for her and Bales, but you can't say this was unexpected when she dated someone with a former partner and a kid. Not Dayhall. First of all, I think it's great that you're including both sisters and treating them as they are. Sisters. You sound like a great dad to Annie, and overall a nice dude. I think your girlfriend needs to understand that this is the deal. You come with a kid, and the kid comes with a sister. Both of them are part of your family now. She's not the one to decide who gets to be part of your life. She can either accept that Elsie is part of your family or move on. Please don't reject Elsie because of this. Not Dayhall. But one thing to think on is how long before the girlfriend starts saying the same thing about Annie. The latest I can imagine is when she has her own child with him. Exactly. It'll be, can we ever just do anything with just our family?